Newcastle United head to Nottingham Forest this Sunday. Can they get one over the Reds? And with Aston Villa just qualifying for the final of the Europa, we ask ourselves the question, are Newcastle falling behind their nearest rivals? Find out right here on Toon Tactics TV, folks.
Oh, brilliant from Shea. And now Murphy could take on the shot. Fabian Shea
All right, folks. Just checking my mics, hoping everything's working. It is. All right, folks. I hope you guys are well. I hope you guys are blessed. We're in Thursday of this week. I hope guys have had a blessed Monday, blessed Tuesday, blessed Wednesday, and are having a blessed Thursday. I know I'm blessed because I'm doing tonight's show with you guys. As always, guys, I am looking forward to it. And I just witnessed, we're going to witness Aston Villa qualify for the final of the Europa. They're doing well in fifth place. So we're going to be talking about them a little bit, but mainly because they played Nottingham Forest. And obviously, Nottingham Forest are the team that we're going to play. So I did a bit of scouting, a bit of watching a video from Adam Cleary about how Forest have improved their form. But obviously, I've also had the benefit of watching how Aston Villa managed to still beat them and beat them very convincingly. Can Newcastle do the same thing? So we're going to start things off with the match preview, and then we're going to go into there was a article I thought I was going to read, but um, probably I think we did it a lot in the previous show. So, but we'll go into some really exciting scatter reports actually that have been coming up. I'm sure you guys have seen some of them on X and others. We are going to talk about the number 6 role and Mr. Curtis Jones, who has come up onto our radar. There's two other scatter reports I'm hoping to do, depending on time, but we'll see how it goes. Before we get into the match preview for the Brighton game, I want to make sure I say hello to the chat. As always, guys, you've been absolutely incredible. You've been liking, sharing, subscribing. Please continue to do so. I've been stuck around this 980 subscribers mark for absolutely ages. I don't know why it goes up. I think the highest it went to 985, then it went back down again. I'm not sure why. Whoever the 3 or 4 joined are leaving. I don't know, but I'm happy for one subscriber. I'm blessed to have 985, or 981 or whatever it is now. But if you guys have been watching and you forgot, hey, I haven't subscribed, but I've been watching it all this time. I'm enjoying the show. I'm enjoying the channel. Please do like, share, and subscribe, as you've all been doing absolutely amazing with that. Good to see my man Ches here. God bless you, Ches, all the way from South Africa. He says, hi all. Hey, Philip, hope you're doing well, mate. I am living life to the full, sir. Living life to the full. Good to see my man James here. God bless you, James. Says, hi, mate, Phil. I'm all good, sir. Good to see you. Good to see Niall Kane. I haven't seen you for a minute, sir. If you've been watching, it's great, but good to see you. Good to see you join us. Niall says, hello, mate. How you doing, sir? Hope you're well. Hope you're doing well now. Good to see Adrian as always. God bless you. Good to see you. Thank you for the encouraging message as well. I saw it when I from on Tuesday. But I think I already ended the show. But I saw your encouraging message at the end of the show as well. So thank you so much for that, Adrian. Adrian says, evening, Phil, Ches, and James. Good to see you guys welcoming each other as well. Did I miss anybody out? No, I don't think I did. Let me know, guys. Let's go into the match preview. And by the way, if I do say so myself, I do like this thumbnail. But couple things with the match preview. Nottingham Forest. Now, got a good opportunity to see them today, and I want to pick up Adam Cleary. If anybody knows Adam Cleary, was previously presented at 442. Now he's got his own channel, Adam Cleary channel. Phenomenal content creator, analyst, and everything else like that. I learned a lot from him. He did a uh, um, really good analysis on Nottingham Forest. And I actually got to listen to it while I'm watching the game. And a lot of the stuff that he was saying um, was was kind of coming to pass as well. And obviously, got to see how Aston Villa did it. And there's a couple of things that's so interesting about it, but it's gonna take Newcastle really stepping up their game, stepping up our game in seeing what we're doing. So um, let me know if you guys saw the game. I'm really keen to see what you guys' views are on it as well. Chess, oh no, that's the wrong one. Not Chess, it was Adrian. Big up, no, Chess, what did you say, Adrian? For the chat getting heated up the other day. I'll be cool tonight. It's so good, man. It's so good, man. Adrian says Forrest didn't look too canny with that MGW. Didn't his face was looking crazy, like he's got all them bruises and scars on his face. But he looked more hurt emotionally at the fact that he didn't get to play than any physical. If he was feeling any pain on his face, whatever he was feeling inside and emotional was far more amplified than that. And surprisingly, I didn't know, but he was actually on the bench. And I'm thinking, if he's on the bench, then you might as well, put him on the field. But yeah, I don't disagree, mate. All right, so where did I want to start? I wanted to go almost straight into the tactics side of things, but I'll show, because Forest have improved despite today's loss. They've actually improved a lot, and so I want to be able to show their form. I actually watched them twice this week. Um, okay, brilliant. I watched them against Chelsea, but Chelsea, they tore Chelsea apart. But part of the reason, maybe, if anybody watched that game, maybe part of the reason why that game is not a good example necessarily, it is and it isn't, is because Chelsea are, if they haven't down tools, I don't know what the phase is. I don't know if anyone can help me what the phase is before you down tools, but they're at that phase and it's hurting. And like I said, I get PTSD when I watch stuff like that, because I think of us when we're, every time the different occasions that we fought, we were fighting relegation ourselves. So I feel like I've got a nose for it. So, and I'm sure you guys do too as well. But so yeah, basically Chelsea aren't necessarily the best example. A good example of how to win against Forest was Aston Villa today. We're going to talk about it in a moment. But Forest have had a change of form since Mr. Victor Pereira joined them. And if you can see here, I don't think he joined. Sean Dyche got sacked after the Wolves game, and Victor Pereira came in. I'm not going to go that far, but this is not Aston Villa's, Nottingham Forest's last 10 games. Really, 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 really good. So the last 10 games they have won, it looks like 7 games. Is that a win? So they won 7 games. They drew 2, and they literally just lost the game today. That was today against Aston Villa. They actually played Aston Villa 3 times in the last 10 games. Won 1, drawn 1, and lost 1. So they've been absolutely phenomenal. Obviously, some of these games were in the Europa itself against Maitland and Porto, whom they drew against, and then they beat Porto 1-0, and Porto have just become Portuguese champions. So it lets you know about the level of competition. I'm going to go on the tangent a little bit here, but Porto, I think it's because we covered Porto as a result of Mora the other week, but Porto are crowned Portuguese champions, and Nottingham Forest, who are fighting relegation, beat them no problem. So it was a tight game, to be fair, but still. And this lets you know the levels of what the Premier League is at the moment. But anyway, so they beat Porto in that period of time, but a whole lot of Premier League games. They also beat Villa in the first leg of the Europa as well, but they beat up Chelsea away. They destroyed Sunderland. God bless them for that. 5-0. Obviously, they beat Burnley 5-1, and they beat Forest. Forest. They beat Tottenham 3-0. So really, really good form. I wanted to see the is it here? Is it showed us as well some of their key men if I can find them. Maybe it's on FOTMob. It is on FOTMob. So let me know what you guys think of their form. But Mr. Vitor Pereira has done a really, really, really good job. And I'm going to go on the back of some of the things that Cleary has said as to how that came to be. But it's been really, really good. Let me see what you guys are saying in the chat. James says, to be fair, I think them being a down mood due to losing the semi-final might help us. Yeah, I think they'll be crushed. Hopefully they'll be crushed. I was actually hoping they'd win because I just thought that maybe they'll find it hard to kind of get down from that high, and they'll be thinking about the final. Players wouldn't want to commit themselves into challenges and stuff like that. But maybe it can play either way, isn't it? So that was my kind of initial thoughts behind it. But they looked crushed today. Yes, James, exactly. Aston Villa might win Aston Villa. Palace might win the Conference League. So we've got an English team in the final of the Champions League. We've got an English team in the final of the Europa League. We've got an English team, I think, on the way to the final of the Conference League. Best league in the world, the Premier League. And most entertaining, highest quality, in my personal view. I know there's a lot of people who disagree or talk about it and say this is the worst standards ever. And in my opinion, it's simply not true. And if let me say this before I get into it, I'm going on a couple of tangents today. If you're 25 and under and you keep on hearing old guys like me keep on saying, oh, back in our day, the standards were way better. Even the likes of Bolton had this player, had that player. They are, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, they're watching, they're remembering those times with rose tinted glasses. It was not, the league was across, in terms of the spread of quality, the distribution of quality across the Premier League. It was never ever been this high. Case in point, Bournemouth had, for instance, last season they had four defenders, all of whom went to PSG's, Real Madrid's, other teams as well. Even Semenyo, in terms of obviously forwards, over January into City. Nobody in my day was looking for Kevin Davies from Bolton. No one was looking to buy him in the top four, top six, whatever it was at the time. Nobody was looking for Morgan Gams Pedersen from Blackburn. None of that was happening. No one was looking. Those players ended their careers. I think Pedersen ended his career there at those football clubs. So it lets you know that the quality of the game. So look, I just thought, I don't know why I thought to need to tell you, like, guys, if you're 25 and under and you're thinking, wow, I'm in the worst time of football, it must have been so magical and amazing in my day, essentially. You're not missing out. This is the golden age of football for sure. We had good errors, incredible errors as well, but I just feel like the distribution of quality right now. Adrian says, "I wanted us to sign Kevin Davis," but that lets you know how far. That's more on us, right, Kevin? That's more on how far down we were. I'm trying to remember who was in our squad at the time. Yeah, I can just. It wasn't great. It wasn't great. Right. So let me get back to what I'm actually here for, and that is. So this is. So we've talked about their form in the last 10 games. Last 10 games. They just lost today. That was their first game that they lost today. Really, really good from them. Now we're going to talk about it a little bit more in the kind of tactical breakdown for it. There is a temptation to say that they're playing in a 4-2-3-1 as is exhibited here, but it's not really a 4-2-3-1. And really, you kind of look at it as a 3-2, a 3-2, a 3-2-3-2, or a 3-2-4-1 type of formation. And I'll kind of explain it a little bit more on the tactics board. That is what Victor Pereira changed it to. And that's the main issue. The main thing around that is to ensure that their number nines, you're either Chris Wood, Awoni, or Igor Jesus, but mainly between Awoni and Mr. Wood, had players around them. So I'm going to get into that, but just wanted to see the individual players quickly in terms of who's doing what. But you can see here, actually, is it here? Because I wanted to see who's on their bench, because it hasn't got Chris Wood here. I wanted to see how many goals Chris Wood has got. Actually, I'll see it on there. Let me see this. So let me just see here. Awoni's got 4 so far this season. Got 4 goals, 1 assist. Igor Jesus has got, in his first season at the Premier League, has got 6 goals, 4 assists. So it's 10 GA, not too bad. Bakwa, who I thought was really, really impressive against Chelsea. Some of his one-touch footballs. He obviously is really good at he's good at dribbling, but he doesn't over dribble, in my opinion. Like, he doesn't. That's not the only thing he does. His one-touch football is the one that really impressed me. He doesn't overdo it, in my opinion. Good player. And today, I think this is from today's game. But their midfield was also very. They've got Makatizo playing, Dominguez, Yates, Morgan Gibbs White is obviously the preferred choice. I don't know why Elliot Anderson isn't in this lineup. That's weird. In fact, let me look a little bit more on their team stats. Not team stats. Squad. Is it squad? Player stats. Let's go player stats. Here we go. So their top scorer is obviously Morgan Gibbs White with 13. Then you get Igor Jesus. Top assister Omari Hutchinson, who will be a threat down on their right, down our left. So it's either Mr. Byrne or Mr. Hall who'll be playing. I think it'll be Mr. Byrne. But in terms of total GA, Morgan Gibbs White of 17. You can see how important he is. He really wanted to leave last year, but he didn't get to. And then it followed up by Mr. Igor Jesus with 10 and Callum Hudson-Odoi with 7. Highest minutes played, you can tell in terms of they're probably their core, they're consistent players. That's Nikola Milankovic, they're in defence. Elliot Anderson, our very own, who's going to be moving to City, and Nico Williams. Nico Williams is the one who's going to be providing all the width in terms of their attack as well. So, yeah, in terms of attack, Mr. Gibbs White is so important to them. It'd be interesting to see if he starts against us. It's so difficult to tell at the moment. They've got his expected goals at 9.5. He's got 13, so he's certainly been overperforming, which is positive. Can it be sustained is another thing. As a team, though, I wanted to see their team stats. I know that until the last 10 games, they were suffering a little bit, but they've got an overall football rating of 12 or 12th in the league. That's including all their stats together. I wonder where we are. That's including attacking stats, offensive stats, defensive stats. Excuse me. Where are we? We're 11th, just above them. So we can't even say anything. They are 13th in the league for goals per match. I wonder where we are. We're 8th. So not too a little bit ahead of them. They're 7th in the league for goals conceded, which is a good thing. So it's the other way around. It's a positive that they've got goals conceded. I imagine that we might be higher. We might be lower than them. Yeah, we're 14th. So we're leaking out a little bit. And that Brighton game, and a lot of it is just self-causing, in my opinion. But they're 16th in the league for big chances created, not massive big chances, but they're very, very efficient. They're 18th in the league for big chances missed. So that shows you the disparity. Yes, they don't create a lot of big chances, but the chance they do get, they've got a very, very high accuracy, or they're very, very efficient in front of goal and have been. So that's really, really important. If you can see us here, we're second in the league for crosses per match, whereas they're 9th. In fact, let me just double check. So let me see how many big chances we're creating in the league. We are 10th. So we're not too far ahead of them, to be honest. corners, us were second, they're seventh. So I just wanted to look a bit of their attacking stats, some interesting ones if I could find them. XG conceded, they do concede a lot of XG, so chances created against them, they concede 30, they conceded 4 goals today, for instance. Where are they? Possession 1 in the final third, they're ninth, so they're pretty mid-table in that, and they're not really geared up to be a high-pressing team, though they do press high, but not necessarily intentionally to win the ball high. It's an interesting kind of tactic they use, but it's something that allows them to play within their strength. So essentially, they don't create too much. They're a team that, in terms of attack, they don't create too many big chances, but the chances they do create, they're very efficient in. They have been they do concede a lot of chances, but then so do we. We're literally just like above them in terms of offensively and defensively, performance wise. They've got individuals. The main individual is Mr. Morgan Gibbs White, and it's going to be a big thing to see. It's going to be very important to see, essentially, if he's going to be playing or not. That's going to be the big part, the major part for us to talk about in this show. But let me just set this up first before I go to the chats and see what you guys are saying. Yeah, you can see that. All right, brilliant. So let me see what you guys are saying in the chats. What you guys have made of them so far, their form and everything else. Good to see my man Andrew. God bless you. Excuse me. Andrew says, when was the last time Newcastle had one of the Brazil's best players, Germany's number 9, and the main man in Italy's midfield? Probably never. Hence why it's a good time to be a Newcastle fan, isn't it? Andrew says, worried that Igor Jesus can get into that space between our defense and what you've taken the words out of my mouth. We're absolutely going to be talking about that. Our defense and midfield, we've got to be switched on. Absolutely. And in fact, that's the key part where Aston Villa were very switched on today, and that's what got them across the line. Andrew says there's absolutely no excuse for us not to put a run Forest with them playing tonight. Yeah, I agree. So let's get into it. Let me see what you guys are saying. Starting lineups. Obviously, I say obviously, nothing's obvious. Let's get into it. I already started with the old tactics board here. Let me just bring this back a minute. So I started off here. I think Forest will likely change their lineup, but because I don't know their team well enough, I don't know necessarily. I suspect if they're wise, especially if they want to, because one thing I failed to mention with you guys, actually, they are fighting relegation. And that would mean, where is it? But they're not far. They need, I think, another win. Let me just double check. Where are they in the table? Standings. Can you guys see that? Yeah, you can. Okay, so standings. So let me zoom in a little bit here. So Forest are on 42 points. So they're only 3 points behind us, to be honest. They're 6 points ahead of West Ham with 3 games to go. They, probably like us last week, probably feel they need another win to just make them safe. I think that's what they're probably looking at. And with Tottenham getting into good form, I think that's definitely what they're looking at. So, that's so annoying when it does that. Sofa score kind of reloads itself and takes you off the thing. Right, so Forest, yeah, so they probably need another win. The psychological, emotional element about crashing out the Europa today is going to be interesting to see how quickly they recover and how quickly Mr. Vitor Pereira can help them to recover and to be physically and mentally ready for Sunday against us. And I do think, spoiler alert, I think we play a different game compared to Brighton, where we let them have the possession. Uh, we were intense, but mainly in the mid block kind of area. Whereas I think if we put it on Forest, we're kind of from the front, more front footed against Forest, and test them mentally, psychologically, especially in that first 15 minutes. That first 15 minutes going to be crucial. But Forest have scored 44 goals this season, conceded 46. They're a -2 goal difference. We're also -2 goal difference, except for we scored 49 goals and conceded 51. So yeah, we've got 13 wins, 6 draws, 16 losses. Incredible. They've got 11 wins, 9 draws, and 15 losses. So if you're looking at form and everything else, they're like, especially in the last 10 games, they're in better form. But if we're kind of looking at a little bit more micro, whereas we can see that they just crashed out today, and good to see our resident Villa fan here as well. God bless you. Come on, congratulations. Big congratulations to you guys for making the final. But not only that, you made the final, you're fifth in the league. You deserve to be fifth in the league. You've had a tremendous season, and that you're following it up from the previous season when you got into the Champions League as well. So, absolute big congratulations to you for that. James, thank you for sending your lineup already. He's got Pope, Trippier, Chow, Botman, Hall, Bruno, Sandro, J7, Willock, Voltamada, and Osula. Voltamada instead of who? I'm trying to think. Bruno, Sandro, Tonali. I can't think who Voltamada is going to replace. That's interesting. Andrew says Forest have Man U and Brentford to play after us, so I think they will be going all out to win against us. On paper, it's Forest's easiest game. You're probably right. And it's at home as well. If they're going to think about them, they're going to want to, remove that bad feeling, isn't it? If they're going to think about them. So, all to play for. All right, so let's get into it. Now, as I mentioned, so it's going to be difficult to know. First of all, can you guys see that? Yeah, you can. It's going to be, I don't know who's going to play. I'm going to put for them, you got Jesus, Dominguez, McAtee. I don't think McAtee plays. I think McAtee had a very difficult time today when the screws were turned on them by Villa. What Villa did really well, guys, is they put on that press where they just said, we're going to get into a physical one-on-one battle with you because we believe that McGinn can one-on-one with McAtee. McGinn comes out on top. I forgot Tillemans versus Dominguez, for instance. Anderson can hold his own essentially, but they kind of lined themselves up like that with Morgan Rogers and what's his gentleman's name, Watkins, taking turns to kind of drop into the midfield and pick up the ball and cause so much havoc to them. And there's something for Osula and Willock to be able to do to kind of take note from that as well. But I'm gonna my own guess. I don't know their team very well, but I'm gonna take Forest at their best, and I'm gonna say Mr. Morgan Gibbs White plays. That Mr. Morgan Gibbs White plays. Where is he on here? Here we go. He was so crestfallen that he couldn't play today. Right, so he plays alongside Anderson and Dominguez. Or Yates, depends who they want to do. Because Dominguez, no, it was McAtee that was replaced for Yates to try and hold down Buendia, who was going through their midfield as well. Now for us, and thank you guys for sending. Some of you guys have been sending your starting lineups. This is our team that played against Brighton. Now, obviously, I've got Trippier on here because we obviously know that Miley is out for the season. He's broken his bone, actually. He's broken his fibula, so he's not playing. I think Eddie Howe, if it wasn't for that injury, he'll keep the same back line, same goalkeeper. He'll keep his main trio of Tonali, Bruno, and Joe Linton. His number one midfield, really. And I think Osula, the front line, will also keep their place. All of whom, apart from directly Willock, but obviously Osula got a goal, Murphy got an assist, but I think Willock had a good game as well. Down that left side as well. And against Forest back line, especially, if we can get those players in amongst them and cause havoc down the back line with their pace, Milenkovic, Murata aren't the quickest players, in my opinion. But so there's going to be those individual battles. So, and it was kind of noted as well, I think Andrew was talking about it. What has turned around Forest's, and again, big up Adam Cleary for this. What has turned around Forest's game is essentially, and what's made them so efficient is essentially Vitor Pereira making sure that he gets the best out of his front man, Wood and or Owoni. Owoni might even start, we don't know. And by getting players in and around them, what would happen is in terms of like going forward, especially, or the way they're setting up is kind of based for a possession-based team, but instead they're going very vertical and very direct with it. So you have Wood, in this example, will be Wood, but it might be Owoni who starts. He's been, in fact, it might be Owoni who starts because I think it was him who started against Chelsea. Yeah, I think it will be actually. Let me change that. I'll change that. Let me see. Owoni. Oh, no. Owoni's. They said inactive. I don't know what that means. Let me know, guys, if he's injured, but I'll use Owoni. Is to get players around his forwards there. You got Jesus next to who'll drop into the right area. And what would happen is, in this case, it'd be Morgan Gibbs White, and this one Morgan Gibbs White would be either in and around this left and or right half space, but mainly around this left space. So when anything that happens in this areas here is going to be the danger zone. Oh gosh, let me get the highlight. Here we go. It's going to be these little danger zones here. These little danger zones here. And this was made them very efficient in front of goal, is by having the ball into these centrals here. So the ball will go up to them, and Awoni would use his ability to hold defenders off and to and provide these kind of layoffs to the players in and around them, your Jesuses and your Gibbs White, who again has got 17 GA in this season. So that's what the big thing is going to be to follow up on. What would happen also is that Mr. Williams, their left back, would provide the width here. And what this 4 at the back would do is turn into a 3 at the back, and they'll push up with, and they'll also push up with, in these type of areas, with Anderson and or Dominguez as the 2 midfield pivots. Hutchinson obviously would also be running up and down this line as well, adding the width on the side. So this is how, this is essentially how they break down. This is how they kind of go about things offensively. So they keep the width with Williams and Hutchinson, and they keep the central areas occupied with big strikers like Awoni and or Chris Wood and Igor Jesus. And as pointed out by Cleary and obviously Andrew Graham here, it's these little half spaces here that become very dangerous zones here. And if you're intense, if you're not intense, if they're looking for these second balls, if you're not ready to get these second balls, you're going to pay with your life, essentially, or you're going to pay metaphorically speaking. you got a huge chance of conceding goals. So um, essentially, that's how they kind of figured themselves out in terms of being able to be in front of goal and make sure their strikers don't stay isolated. And of course, if they do lose the ball in these type of areas, you've got the likes of Anderson and or Dominguez and either Yates or whoever, who obviously we know how brilliant Anderson is. He is Newcastle born and Newcastle made. Will either be very, very quick on kind of providing the counter press here and or coming back into position to support the back three. So essentially, and same with Dominguez. So essentially, it's a five at the front with five on the back, protecting the passing lanes here in between the players so they don't get caught on the hop when necessarily with the sixers either protecting or doing the counter press, and Marato and Jay in the flank areas, ensuring that if there's any kind of breakthrough on the flanks, they're able to cover those areas as well. So that's kind of Forest in a nutshell in terms of what they're doing. Obviously, set pieces have to guard against those. On personal, we're going to go into the personal battles in a moment, but if Morgan gives White plays, that's really, really important for them. Mr. Anderson is there to dictate their play as well. He helps them a lot in terms of their build-up play as well. So I don't know how you keep Anderson quiet, but he's going to be very, very integral in terms of ensuring that there's stability in those back lines. Hopefully, he is exhausted from today's game and we'll have a little bit of fun, not fun, but we'll have some joy coming from his side. Now, before we talk about what Newcastle can do, let me just see what you guys are saying in the chat. Let me see. Where is it? Okay, Andrew says more chance of me and you playing Philip than Voldemort. I don't think Voldemort is playing. I don't know if you guys saw this release from this leak from I think it was not Michel Platini. That's a French footballer, Plattenberg, the German Fabrizio Romano, saying, "No, look, Voldemort has." First, I said, Bayern Munich weren't talking to Voldemort until the second leg of the Champions League game. Now they are kind of talking ish, but he's happy at Newcastle. He's got a good relationship with Eddie Howe. But if he doesn't get any game time, I'm like, this guy, whoever is handling his PR, right? You're not going to get more games by trying to make kind of threats via these online journalism reports. Play me or else I talk to Bayern Munich. Talk to Bayern Munich, my friend. Do you know what I mean? It's crazy. It's crazy. Anyway, Andrew says annoying thing is Bruno and Tonali and Joe Linton as a three would be more than a match for Forest midfield. Exactly. And that's where the key battle is going to be for me, actually. And I'm going to talk about that as well. Andrew says, will Elanka start against the former club? Might spark a better performance. That's a good idea. I have a feeling that Eddie might stick with Murphy just because obviously he got the assist and he had a decent game. I would consider Elanga, but I'm just trying to get myself in the mind of Eddie Howe. Andrew says, if Burn starts, Forest will target our left side. Yeah, as did Brighton and everybody else. Botman will get pulled out of position to cover, and Jesus would have a field day finding the extra space of this would cause. That's exactly the danger there. Exactly what you're saying here is if Burn gets pulled out of position because Hutchinson's burning him and Botman is having to go out here to protect him, in fact, can you guys see this? Yeah, you can see this. You have to have Botman going across, and then you get this pocket of space here for Jesus to walk into. This is why it's critical that this is where Mr. Joe Linton steps in, as he did against Minte against Brighton. But Minte didn't get that much joy. Burn had a good game, Burn, and I think Minte is better than Hutchinson. So Burn had a good one-on-one kind of game with Minte, so good that Minte went to the left side of the pitch to test what's his name, Miley. Didn't work for him there either. So that's where I think Joe Linton is going to be key in terms of covering these half spaces here, ensuring that either Hutchinson can't cut in and start causing these problems here, kind of drawing players out and finding spaces where you can pass, make little through balls to Awoni, Jesus, Gibbs White, and or if he does go to the right here, Botman can continue following Jesus and Joe Linton protect these near post areas. That's going to be Joe Linton's job. Nikos on the other side of the pitch is going to be Tonali's job to protect Trippier versus Nico Williams when needed, but also making sure that he's following and tracking the run of Tonali and or Bruno doing the same thing and protecting him in those type of ways there, allowing Chow to focus on Awoni where needed as well. So that's going to be very, very crucial. Could be in. Andrew says we could be in for a backlash. We could be. So we have to be ready. Andrew says somebody needs to be tight on Anderson, stop him dictating play, and having the time and space to play killer balls through. And that's what's been the danger for us in terms of. I think we've conceded the most line breaking passes in the league, which is crazy, and that's where our structure has to be on point. Andrew says it's going to be difficult trying to counter attacking team. True. And that's why I think it's better for us to be on the front foot. James says, if we're going to play Trippier, we cannot have two defensive fullbacks. So Lewis Hall will have to go back into the team to be our attacking function. Do you know what? I was thinking this, James, and I might actually go talk about it as well on the thing. I agree with you. Andrew says, let's hope Nick Pope doesn't have his wellies on the wrong foot this evening. I absolutely agree with that. And you make a point here, Andrew. The only thing I'm thinking that Eddie Howe, he rewards players who perform and do well for him. But you're right. With Trippier there, he's not going to be doing what Miley can do, which is, invert and then also come out and be able to track runs at the same time. He's going to stay out wide, but also be able to kind of support on the other sides here. So isn't there more of an argument to play? Where is Mr. Hall? Where is Hall? Lewis Hall. I can't find Hall. Is he here? Why is Hall not on my... Oh, there he is. Just saw him. Here he goes, behind the player. Wouldn't it be better to have a Hall who can cause the damage on the other side instead? I just think... I don't want Burn to stay at left back. I just think he will. So I'm going to go with it this way. But we'll talk about what we can do in terms of that. So those are the threats of Forest. And we're talking about the psychological, not only just the tactics, but the psychological element of it as well. They still got to stay. They've got to get at least one more win to stay in the Prem. They're going to want to get that terrible feeling they're feeling today out of their system. And they're playing at home, supported by their fans. They're going to want to show that they are up for it. Now, just starting from this position here, like I said, they're going to have the likes of Hugo Jesus and Gibbs White supporting Awoni, Williams providing the whip. So what's going to be very, very important here really is two things, as we mentioned, obviously, ensuring that from Tonali's point of view, ensuring that he's keeping track of Gibbs White and or supporting Trippier, whilst Gomes, at least in a defensive point of view, is watching the runs of Gibbs White and or Anderson if Anderson takes a chance as well. What's going to be key here, and what these two are really good at, let me highlight them. Where's the highlights? Player highlights. Willock, and Osula. What they were very, very good at versus Brighton is being very good in pressing teams and disrupting and either blocking passing lanes and or winning the ball in these positions. And they work very, very well together, and they protect these central positions really, really well together as well. What also happens is that, and I think someone's mentioned it, Dominguez is a diminutive player, so he's very, very small. He's good with his small touches as well. But if I'm Joe Linton, I want to make sure I win my individual. I'll be watching what McGinn done against the like of McAtee and Dominguez and others, and I'll be making sure that I win my one-to-one battles with him. Same with Tonali and Morgan White. Bruno and Anderson is going to be difficult, but I think uh, this is where Osola and Willock step in. It's going to be these type of areas. With Murphy, we know who likes to keep the width here and or at times get into these positions here. But the key thing for him, because Trippier will step up and Murphy can go in like this. But in terms of kind of hitting on the break, Murphy keeping out wide and keeping Morata honest. So Morata can't join in the fun and try and support his colleagues. He's going to have to stay out wide. So if Newcastle stay structured and stay firm, winning the ball up, what it allows them to do is break. And this is where they were very, very, very deadly. Let me highlight as well, Mr. Murphy. This is where the problems start to come, especially for Brighton, especially when the likes of Bruno and others got onto the ball. You will see these gentlemen running into the spaces in behind. In fact, let me get this here. Into the spaces. Can I not get high? Here we go. Into the spaces. I'm trying to get this gentleman. Can I get them together? I can't. Into these spaces here in behind. And Jar, Milenkovic, and Morata do not have the pace to kind of keep up with them. And so that's when Newcastle can hit them on the break. Where I think Newcastle, but I don't think, as kind of mentioned, Newcastle are the best way for Newcastle to win this game is a counter-attacking team. Is to play as a counter-attacking team. I think the best way for Newcastle to play is to what Aston Villa did and play as a front-footed team and play on the press. As mentioned earlier, the way Forest sets up, it is better. It's really for a possession-based team rather than a team that at times plays on possession. I watched them against Villa. They're okay in their build-up, but it's not. Maybe it's because Villa played so well in terms of their press. But I think the key for Newcastle is going to be is actually in our forward press against Forest. And you've got the likes of Osula and Willock working really, really well together in terms of pressing. I think you'll have Bruno. Bruno will step in front of them, just in behind them, marking Mr. Anderson, Murphy on the right here. Joe Linton up against Dominguez with, and or maybe Dominguez or maybe well, it depends how we want to do it, but how we usually do it, how we kind of get into it, we kind of go into a back three. And this is not just Newcastle now, everyone's doing it with a number 6 in between the two centre backs. Allows the likes of Byrne actually to step up high, either against Igor Jesus and or Hutchinson. So it's going to have to be incredible ball over the top to get in behind there, which isn't likely to happen. But especially if it's hit aerially, you've got Joe Linton and Byrne there, which is not going to come through. So it's very hard for Forest to go out in the build-up. They can go along with Awanyi, but what it allows is, with Tonali, especially either in between the two centre-backs, it allows either Botman or Chow in these instances to step up and or win and try and win the ball aerially. And even if they do lose it, you've got the likes of either Chow going back here or Tonali going back here and collecting any loose balls. And then from there, being able to play and to kind of continue to recycle the ball. But there's going to have to be intensity in that front press against Dominguez, because Joe Linton, Chow, even Bruno against Anderson, I think we can win those one-on-one battles. I think a fit and firing Willock and Osula can disrupt their back line and cause them a lot of problems, especially with Anderson. Especially with Anderson. If you can stop Anderson, we stop any kind of chances of kind of really deadly line breaking passes coming in, and kind of stop their build up as well, and also stop their from dictating the play. So let me know what you guys think. I will read the chats and give my score predictions at the end. Send in your score predictions, folks. Send in your score predictions. Send in your score predictions. I want to know your score predictions before we go into transfer rumors and scouting reports. And as always, folks, please do remember to like, share, and subscribe. Now, James says, excuse me, got sinus kicking in. James says, excuse me. James says, I'm basing this on Eddie Howe system, by the way. No, you are. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. I just think that Byrne had a good game against Minte. Eddie Howe doesn't like to disrupt his back line, especially now that he's had to change it for Trippier coming in for Miley. I just had that feeling about it. I hope I'm wrong, but we'll see. Andrew says Martin Dubravka is better shot stopper than Ramsdale and better with his feet than Pope. The stats and data prove that. It's a funny old game. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. Andrew says it's about time Sandro, Bruno, and Joelinton take a game by the scruff of the neck. I agree. And it's a good opportunity to do so. Andrew says, how long before Joelinton smashes into Gibbs White? What I hope, what my worry about that is that the referee will look at Gibbs White's face and have some sympathy. So we have to be careful with that. He says, yeah, Adrian says, Forrest will have to play Yates, I reckon. That is very true. They might have to play Yates. I hope he played Yates instead of Morgan Gibbs White. But Yates came on from McAtee. He was really, really struggling, especially off the ball. Let's see. Andrew says, I hope Yates plays. Osula could run him ragged. Absolutely. Him and Milenkovic and others. So send in your scores, guys, and let me know your goal scorers as well. Andrew says, did I just see something? Okay, sorry, no. Andrew says, we have always played better as a front-footed team. Forest don't like it, so up them. Villa proved that tonight. Exactly. And that's what I'm hoping for. Thanks, Adrian, for sending in your score predictions. Did someone else send a score prediction? Send in your score predictions, folks. Adrian's gone for a 3-1. Osula, J7, and Ramsey off the bench. That would be really nice. I didn't speak about Ramsey today as well. He would have been good for this game, but I think Jay Linton will be taking things forward. Andrew says, ref will look at Yates' face and have sympathy. James says, you missed my comment about Osula. Oh, sorry. What did you say? Saying that I would clear him in a right wing position, being an inside forward. That was most of the method he was playing on against Brighton. Let me see the Brighton heat map, because what I want to say is this. I don't want Osula playing on the right. I don't think Eddie Howe wants Osula playing on the right. He wants him central, right? He wants him central because that's the best place for a striker to be, on and off the ball, especially when you're holding the line. Let me just double check his heat map, because I thought I can only remember a couple of a couple of occasions he was devastating on the right against the players there. But my hope is, before I get my eyes on this heat map, is to see a big red dot in the central areas, and especially the penalty box for Mr. Osula. Can you guys see that? Yeah, you can. So let me just see that before. Zoomed in the wrong area. Here we go. Osula. Here's Osula here. On the right. Go down. Is that him against Swiss? Why is it so faint? That's crazy. Maybe because he played 68 minutes. Uh, well, a lot here in different parts of the pitch. Obviously, that's when we're defending. But good to see big blotches here in the penalty box as well. Picks it up a couple times on the right and on the left, and a little bit here in the half spaces. But I would say hopefully the predominant ones in terms of like heat is in and around the penalty box, and that's where you want to see him. You want to see him in those areas. I think maybe because it was Brighton, um, but I think primarily you want to see him in the central areas. All right, so let me see what you guys are saying. Send in the score predictions. I'm going to give mine, and then we go on to transfers and scout reports. Andrew says, I think it would be an awful 2-1 win. Winning ugly, isn't it? And the last 10 minutes would be about us enjoyable, as in watching Freddy Krueger chasing my granddaughter around the bedroom. That's crazy. James says, that's a good call, though. Who have you got as your goal scorers, Andrew? James says, guess what, Adrian? Oh, sorry, guess what? Adrian, the ref, is our favorite man, Chris Kavanagh. All right, so score predictions, score predictions, score predictions. So Forest have lost today on the back of having a very good run of performance. The first game they lost in 10 games. But there's a couple things about it. It's very emotional. They wanted to get through to the final and didn't get opportunity to do that. So there's like an emotional, psychological thing around that. Now it could work both ways. Is it going to work in a way where it's going to trigger that anger to be able to, overcome a bad result, and they want to try and take it out on us? And they come with intensity, they come with purpose, or does it kind of help cause them to feel sorry for themselves? And that's going to be answered in the first 15 minutes of the game. Then tactically, we talked about how them getting players in and around their main number nines who are strong, good target men, the likes of Wood and Awoni, who's got the pace as well to run down the channels, but also good layoffs onto the likes of Gibbs White and to Awoni and to your Dominguez's, your Andersons and others. And it's those kind of second balls that we have to be ready. We have to be intense about essentially winning. If we get those basics right, we then have to have, in my opinion, we have to have from the beginning really a front-footed approach, an intense approach, not just winning the ball in our own half, but winning the ball in their half, stopping their build-up play and stopping Anderson essentially from in their build-up play. I think Osula and Willock have been really, really, really impressive in their running and in their willingness to close people down. They run literally for the next, you can see they get taken off around the 60th, 70th minute mark. And then you bring in your Barneses and you're bringing your Barnes and Whistles at the moment. We've even an opportunity to bring on Gordon if you really want, as if he's had time to stop negotiating his transfer of Bayern Munich. So there's going to be an intensity about everything that we do. We have to make sure that Joe Linden has to make sure he supports Byrne on the right, on the left, or his left against Hutchinson and get that right. Murphy, I'm sure will be up in terms of supplying. I think Bruno's going to be so key in helping us dictate play and to be able to watch the runs of your Willocks and the Solids. And they've had another week of training and to be able to do that. So it's going to be really interesting to watch that. So with all of that said, I'm going to go for I'm going to go for a 3-0 win. I know. I'm going to go for a 3-0 win just because I think we've got so much firepower coming off the bench. with Barnes, with Gordon, with Wissa. I think we've got a lot more coming off our bench than they do. Even the Langer can come off and cause trouble, and Ramsey. I think the goal that Brighton scored, I guess, and they had opportunity, but it was mainly self-inflicted. And I think we can do even a better job away. So I've gone for a 3-0. I'm going to give Osula another goal. I'm going to go for Willock, and I'm going to go for Wissa off the bench. Wissa off the bench. So that's me. 3-0 Newcastle. Osula, Willock, and Wissa with the goals. So thanks to all those guys that have been sending in your score predictions and your starting lineups and everything else. But it's a big game, big opportunity for us to, I think, climb us maybe ninth, maybe take over Chelsea's position if we can. But let's see what you guys say in the chats before we move on to the scatter reports and everything else. All right, so Bruno and Yates' own goal. I like that. There's a net from Bruno corner. To Bruno corner. We shouldn't have two baby players babysitting Burn. No, we shouldn't. I agree. I don't think we'll have to be honest. I don't think we'll have to. James says, "I'll take anything to be honest." Yeah, I'll take 3 points. I want 3 points. Andrew says, Burn should never ever play at left back. Why can't Eddie see that? I think he can, but he's got no choice. We've got a small squad. I think that's what it is. That's my opinion anyway. All right, so let's get into it. Continue sending your score predictions, guys, or your starting lineups, whatever you want to do for the Nottingham Forest, or like even sending your views about Nottingham Forest game. We're all quite positive about it. It's good to see most people giving victories, even ugly wins and everything else. All right, so I'm going to talk about Curtis. So I was going to say Curtis Jackson for some reason. As mentioned on Tuesday, I really want to talk about Curtis Jones because I think he'll make a very good number 6 for Newcastle. There is 2 players, and I'm going to leave it up to you guys. I'm not going to mention their names. One is a defender. And one is a left winger who I've actually found out about today. In fact, if I get a chance, but let me know which one you guys prefer for me to talk about first after Curtis Jones. Because I might not be able to talk about the last one just because of time, but we'll see. I kind of want to talk about both of them, but we'll see. All right, so where is it? I've now lost where I want it to be. Here we go. Curtis Jones. Right, so Graham Bailey, not just Graham Bailey, but there's been others. Someone's known that Intermedia have been going overdrive on. We're going to talk about Inter Milan. We're going to talk about all the competition, wages, and everything else. We're going to talk all about that. But Graham Bailey, May the 4th, says Newcastle United. There's a lot of historical stuff as well, actually, in terms of this link. Newcastle United have entered the race for Curtis Jones. Team Talk can exclusively reveal, but a move to Italy with Inter Milan is emerging as a particularly attractive option for the Liverpool midfielder. And I do not blame him. And part of those reasons, we're going to go into it, is he's always been seen as a rotation player at Liverpool. Inter Milan have just won their 21st Scudetto. Excuse me, not Scudetto, Serie A. And they're champions of Italy. They're looking to retain it again next year. They're going to be in the Champions League, and they want him to start for their midfield, and he would make a very good starting number 6. In my opinion, we're going to be talking about that. It's Italy. It's incredible. Let's see. Like, obviously, there's a lot more going for Inter Milan at the moment than there is for us in Newcastle, where I can't remember where we're sitting. 13th, 14th, something like that. So there's a lot there. I think the main advantage we may have, a lot of Inter Milan reports are saying that yes, Curtis Jones wants to join us, but we're waiting to hear valuation from Liverpool, right? So let's see how much money, if they're able to compete from a financial point of view, and let's see if Curtis Jones really pushes Liverpool to either take it or not. But let's see why it's important for Newcastle. So look, this is Curtis. Before he's 25 years old. We're going to get into that in a moment, but this is what I mean. Let me take this message down temporarily. As much as I love to hear from Andrew, just want to see this. And please, folks, remember to like, share, and subscribe. Now, remember, Curtis Jones is a Scouser, Liverpool born, been through the academy since forever, really. He's been in and around the first team since 18-19 season. He is Premier League winner, Champions League winner with them, and he's been an integral part of their team. Integral, really. I'm not saying integral, but yeah, I'm going to say integral. Really, since 2021 season, at least in this, even from a squad basis point of view, right? From 2021, he's been playing nearly 2,000 minutes for them. Fairly consistent across the board. Some of those obviously less minutes than others. I think some of that's down to injuries we're going to see in a moment. But really from 23-24 season, excuse me, he's been playing 2,000 minutes plus for them, all the way up to this season where he's played 2,600 minutes across all competitions for Liverpool. That's Champions Leagues, that's FA Cups, that's EFL Cups, that's even Community Shield he played, right? But in the Premier League, he's not used as much. He's played 1,600 minutes in the Premier League. So he's not really a starting player. He's for sure a key rotational player. But with Gravenberch, McAllister, and Soboslai, he has not been able to break into their ranks. And with also another very strong emerging rumor saying that Mr. Adam Wharton, Liverpool are after Adam Wharton, that him joining Liverpool, if that's to come, would only put Mr. Jones further down the pecking order. So an opportunity has emerged for Liverpool and Mr. Jones to part ways. So here we go. On the left-hand side of the screen, because we've been talking about wages and everything else quite a lot. I couldn't believe this. Him being 25 years old, but he's on a £62,500 per week, including bonuses contract at Liverpool. I thought he would be on more. I think he doesn't earn that much more than Hall and Livramento. I think Livramento might be on the same wages as him, which is crazy, considering that he's a couple years older and what he's achieved at Liverpool. But according to Capology, that's his wage, 62,500. That's including bonuses. His fixed salary is 50k. Again, I find that incredible, but that's what it is. His contract runs out in 2027. So he's actually got a year left on his contract. It's quite surprising for me that Liverpool have left it this late, but it is what it is. Now I've put our top 7 wage earners on the right-hand side of the screen, starting from Sven Botman and Johan Wissa. And I think these are fixed, right? These are fixed salaries. 140k, all the way up to Bruno, who's on 160k, with bonuses that take him up to 200k per week. So I'll put them up because I think Mr. Curtis Jones will come in, and especially in his prime, this is the prime of his career where he'd want the best and biggest contract he can get. But also that if he were to come to Newcastle and even Inter Milan, he'll be coming in as a first team player. So there's an opportunity for him really to be even put on the same amount of wages, fixed salary, as Tonali. So there's a good opportunity that Newcastle, good package that Newcastle can uh, put in his way if we're competing against, put a lucrative contract in his way versus Inter Milan. I didn't get a chance to see Inter Milan's uh, kind of main wage earners. If anyone watching has an opportunity, please go on Capology. Let me know like who's their top 3, 4, 5 wage earners, and that'll give us an opportunity to see. So Newcastle, I think, can compete from a wages perspective as well as a transfer fee for the club perspective. Obviously, wages for the player, transfer fee for the club. That'll be the main part. Unfortunately, we can't offer you Champions League. We haven't won the league, and we're not as prestigious club as Inter Milan. Not yet, anyway. Injuries. Now, remember, he's 25 years old. His injuries are, in my opinion, not serious. Though there's a potential. So in the first since 21, I think the most he spent out of the team was between the 21-22 season, 22-23 season, where he missed 14 games and 9 games respectively. But ever since then, he's been getting uh, knocks and niggles here and there. A couple ankle injuries, a thigh problem, some muscle injuries, but the most he's missed is 2 to 3 games. Well, one period in 23-24 where he missed 9 games. Otherwise, the main amount of games he misses is about 2 to 3 games per season. So he's very, very reliable, very available, very fit, and very robust. I would only have a concern around there's been 3 years running where he's had muscle injuries. Is that the same muscle? We just don't know because that would be a cause for concern. I think he's only got one ankle. He's had 2 ankle injuries. One ankle injury that took him out for 2 games, and then an ankle sprain in 23-24. Which ankle is it the same ankle? We don't know. But he's a footballer. You're gonna get ankle sprains and stuff like that. Otherwise, I think his um his what do you call it? His injury record is pretty good. Um So let me see what you guys are saying in the chat. Hold on. Andrew says he would want to be a regular. If Tonali stays, I can't see Curtis Jones. So on the back of this, Andrew and others, this is what other reports are saying is this is if Tonali leaves. So if Tonali leaves, Newcastle will go in for Curtis Jones. So it's not if Willock, because we know that Willock leaves. We're probably going to go for a younger player. But if Tonali leaves, it means Curtis Jones will step in his place. To see that Sandra will be leaving. James, okay. What else are you guys are saying there? Sandra says, it's what I mean. Curtis Jones isn't better than what we have in our midfield. Okay, let's see. Let's see. Let's talk about it. All right. So this is heat map for this season, and you can see this kind of. You have to keep in mind that Liverpool are a high possession team as well, so you can see him spending a hell of a lot of time in the opposition final third, where he's been very, very good, both on the left and right hand side of the pitch. So he rotates quite a bit, and especially for the players he takes over from as well, which again adds to the idea of versatility and flexibility, which is what Newcastle need, especially with the midfield that we have. But it also shows the signs of a very accomplished midfielder who can play in his own half and in the opposition half. Now, scouting reports. Now, I got to have the opportunity there's a lot of scouting reports on Curtis Jones, which I really, really liked. And what I've taken is 3 scouting reports. I think at least 2 out of 3, maybe 3 out of 3. One is from Calcio Danny, and the other one's from Total Football Analysis. And I think Total Football Analysis, there's 3 from, so essentially from the timeline is from 2022 all the way down to now 2025. So we've got a good little timeline of Curtis Jones and what people have been saying about him and how he's progressed. So I'm looking forward to kind of reading the scouting report and getting you guys' views and perspective on him. Right, so that's Kelsey. Big up to Kelsey Danny and to Total Football Analysis. So role central midfielder, in possession controller, hence the number 6 that we need. Status first team regular at the time, age 25. So progression timeline, the evolution of a Scouse midfielder. So phase 1. So the raw. This is from Calcio Danny in May 2022, and this is his kind of analysis of him. The raw technical talent, the breakthrough analysis. Early reports highlighted Jones as a technically gifted midfielder with an elite ability to retain the ball under pressure. At this stage, he was noted for his high volume of touches and his tendency to drop deep to assist in the build-up. That'll be a number 6 that we need. While his ball retention has a standout trait, questions remain about his final product and whether he can translate his technical flair into a consistent goal contribution. He was characterized by a swagger, quote unquote, and a desire to beat players one on one, even in dangerous central areas. So he's young, he's brave, and he shows a lot of bravado, especially in danger zones, right? So moving on to the next scout, but very technically gifted, press resistant player. At the time, he would have been 21, 22. Moving on to Total Football Analysis in 24-25 cycles. So I think this is last year. Analysis. As he matured within the Liverpool system, Jones evolved into a vital tactical cog. This report emphasizes metronomic passing and his improved understanding of defensive positioning, something that I think Tonali needs to work on. He transitioned from a flair-based player, which we talked about in 22-23, or 22 season, to a possession recycler, focusing on maintaining the team's structural integrity, which is what Newcastle needs. His work rate in the counter press became a hallmark of his game. So he's learned to do the dirty side of the game, not just to be a fancy swagger boat press resistant midfielder, but now a hard-working, counter-pressing, intelligent positional player, allowing Liverpool to sustain attacks by quickly recovering loose balls in the middle third. Something that Newcastle are crying out for. Now moving on to 25-26 season. Now, obviously, we're now here in the present. Again, this is the Total Football Analysis. And they've now called him the complete controller. Analysis. Current reports define Jones as a mature, high IQ midfielder who dictates the tempo of elite matches. He has mastered the art of scanning and spatial awareness. Again, something that Mr. Tonali needs to get into a little bit more, making him nearly press proof. Beyond retention, he has reintroduced a creative edge to his game, frequently late runs into the box and delivering line breaking passes that destabilize low blocks, something that we need and been crying out for ages. Somebody with a creative ability with his passing to break down low blocks, which Mr. Jones can do. He is now considered the senior leader on the pitch. Champions League winner, Premier League winner, under Klopp, under Slot. He's done it at the biggest, highest levels. He is now considered a senior leader on the pitch, balancing technical elegance with physical resilience. Andrew says, I do rate Curtis Jones, but I think there are cheaper players available in Europe. Are they going to be of the same standard as Tonali? That's the only reason. That's the only question. Andrew says, how much will Liverpool want? They will want to get that money back from us. He's on 1 year. He's got 1 year left on his contract. So 30, 40 million is what they're going to get. I think that's what they can expect, I think, in my opinion, depending on competition. Right. So the main things they talk about, obviously, for him, I can't see the top one here. He's press resistant. Got position intelligence. He's defensive intensity. He's relentless in the press, and he's got exceptional passing range. This is a weakness in Tonali's game. So pros and cons. So ball retention. He's top tier ability to keep possession under heat or under pressure. Tactical versatility. He's comfortable as a 6, 8, or a wide interior. We really need a 6 or a 6 who can play as an 8. Defensive IQ, exceptional at executing press triggers, and physical stature, strong and agile for a central midfielder. And that's exactly the type of midfielders that Eddie Howe likes. Weaknesses, shot volume, still takes fewer shots than his technical ability suggests, and that's something that can be encouraged. Overplay, can occasionally hold the ball a second too long in transition. Maybe if he plays even more games, that he can get that out of his game. Injury record, history of minor recurring issues can disrupt his rhythm. I don't think it's as bad as, well, if it does disrupt his rhythm, it does, but yeah, maybe that's something to work on. Aerial duels, not his primary focus, can be beaten by power midfielders. And if he's surrounded by your Mileys, your Joe Lintons, your Brunos, he'll be okay. He'll be more than fine. So, verdict, he has transformed from a promising academy graduate into one of the most reliable and intelligent controllers in world football by blending his early career street football flair with modern tactical discipline. He has become a foundational piece of the Liverpool midfield. He is quite essential modern number 8, who offers security in possession and intensity in defense. And this is exactly everything that Newcastle need, in my opinion. Now, before we just get into the metric side of things, let me just quickly see what you guys are saying. Surely this transfer. Andrew says Curtis Jones would be good, but surely his transfer fee and wages would put a massive dent in our transfer kitty. I think 30 to 40 million. I think offering him anywhere close to what Tonali has in wages, I think is well worth the money for him, in my opinion. James's numbers that I've seen been given 50 million, 140k a week in wages. So no, thank you. Okay, I respect you guys' opinion, but I would take him. I would absolutely take him for that amount. James says he's not good enough to be in the first team. Andrew says he would want to be a regular. Oh no, I think that's answered that one. Andrew says you make a good case, Philip. We do need squad depth. 35, 40 million would be acceptable. Yeah, he's got a final year left in his contract. Liverpool can say 15 million all they like. He can go for free if they next year if they really want that. I don't think they want that. James says Phil, numbers I had on him was going to be around 50, 55 million. I'll be surprised they get 50, 55 million on a guy that's got 1 year left on his contract. I just don't see it. I personally don't see it, but I might be wrong. So this is the metrics for this year, and what you can see is really, really impressive. Again, sorry, this is for Liverpool. So rewind that, take that back. This is Liverpool's metrics, because obviously we always like to see the context or the context of where any player is playing in. And for Mr. Jones, it's within the context of Liverpool. So as you can see, Liverpool were exceptional in terms of their counters, 94% percentile, so a big counter-attacking team. Not as strong in their physicality, though 66 percentile is fine. I think Soboslai covers that, most of that, but that's been their weakness all season, especially in that press. The press is not too bad, but that's what's been hurting them. But overall, a high possession and high counter-attacking team. So they're able to counter-attack very, very quickly because they're so good on the ball. And obviously, attacking-wise, the likes of Ekatike, I know he's injured now. Isak hasn't had enough to be there, but they got generally good attacking players. Gakpo and others have been very, very, very good. And within that context, Mr. Jones, Mr. Jones, and you can see his metrics, at least for this season anyway. He got elite metrics for forward passing. He's always looking to pass forward, 98 percentile. Forward pass percentage success rate, 98 percentile. So more often than not, he makes the right decision, and he's looking to progress the ball forward. He's not a sideways passer. Progressive passer, someone that is able to move the ball from defense to attack. He's in the 96th percentile for this. So if he were to play for Newcastle, all he's ever doing is taking Newcastle forward, 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 forward. Good stats for key passes. Key passes are passes that lead us to are passes that lead to shots on goal. Are really, really good. Obviously, a bit lacking in the dual percentage rate, win percentage rate, and possession one. Eh, Is that because he plays for a possession-based team, or there's other people with different roles of that? But I think that's why, for instance, the likes of Soboslai are keeping him out of the team. And ball carrying, where is he at? What's percentile is that? Ball carrying. I can't see it, but it looks around 80 to 90 percentile. So exceptional at carrying the ball. So not only is he creative with the passing, but also on the ball as well. Right. So we've talked about his role in the team as a number 8 and number 6 kind of controller, someone who links up play, maintains tempo, progresses play through his passing, and operates in the controlled, structured phases, like kind of playing for Liverpool. Within Liverpool, high possession team, strong counter transition threat, and balance. So Jones plays in the tight spaces under control. Exactly what we need is in the number 6. Big emphasis. I have to take. Sorry, I'll take off the. I have to take off this. Here we go. Big emphasis on, where is it? On ball security and progressing through structure and not chaos. Something that Newcastle have been struggling to do. Too much chaos, and we need someone that's going to create order out of chaos in terms of what we're doing. There are limitations to him, lower defensive output compared to others, but I think you can say that for a lot of players. He's not necessarily a dominant ball winner. He is good, but we've seen obviously scouting reports that show that he is very, very good in the counter press itself. And I think some of his work can be done silently. Not everything's going to appear on metrics themselves. So the key takeaway for him is that he's a control focused midfielder who comes from progressing and stabilizing possession in a structured system. Thrives in organizational phases, less impactful as a defensive anchor if you just look at his metrics, but I think scouting reports say a little bit more for him. Someone says something there. Ball retention has been our, yes, Andrew, it has been. Ball retention has been our problem for years now. Exactly. And I think he's the type of player that would help us to not to kind of overcome that. So let's go into the highlights and then see what you guys are saying. Some of you guys like him, some of you guys don't. Andrew says, I'd rather save our money, get Elliot Anderson back. James feels that Curtis Jones isn't good enough for our first team. Let me test that actually. I know different teams. I know we've got different teams, and I haven't got to see this. Right. We know what Liverpool are: possession and counter attack. And Newcastle are physicality and pressing. So not slightly, but different roles, right? So we're going to keep that in mind. We're not just going to do. I'm not just going to do. Oh, this means he's better because his stats are better here. But I'll be curious to see just how much he is, like how it does pan out. So Curtis Jones, where is it? Can I get it here? Okay, no, don't do that. Jones this year got Tonali. I know Joe Linton isn't good, so I'm not even going to put him on. And let's get Bruno. All right, so Jones is in the blue, Tonali is in the pink, and Bruno is in the green. So where Jones is very, very elite, and you can see it, is in his ball carrying, full passing, and progressive passing. Him and Bruno match up quite well in the progressive and the key passes themselves. So on the ball is where he's absolutely key for Newcastle. And I think that's why Newcastle are looking at him. I know in the context, all these players have different, they play for different teams, but it's in the same league. But you can see somewhere where their strengths are. So would he get into our team? Yeah, absolutely he would. In my opinion, he would absolutely get into our team. All right, so let's see if we can get some highlights of Mr. Jones, and before we move on to the next, Curtis Jones. Oh, Inter Milan have already started making all sorts of highlight reels for him. They love themselves some Curtis Jones. So we've got some in the last 10 days. All right, so let's get this and see what you guys are saying. As always, folks, great to have you on. Please continue to liking, sharing, and subscribing. Can you guys see that? Yes, you can. All right, so let's get some highlights. You know what? I saw highlights today as well of a player, all of his touches in one game, and those are the type of highlights I love to have, because you can see the player in lots of different ways and different aspects of the team. Lovely free ball there from Mr. Jones. Forward passing as always, as his metrics show. Because sometimes with obviously highlights themselves, what you're seeing is the highlights, right? I want to be able to see Jones in various phases of play itself, and you can't always get that with compilations there. But again, showing him good on the ball, riding out challenges, always looking to pass it forward, press resistant there, little back heel there as well. This is himself getting into out of tight spaces, and lovely finish as well. You know he's going to be good on the ball, playing for an elite team, elite club, major tournaments. It's what happens. Again, getting in and around teams in higher press, breaking the press. Really good turn there. I think he did a 360. Again, in advanced areas, picking up the ball. Is he going to shoot? He does. Unlucky. Able to win the ball fairly up high as well. Yeah, really won well there. Does he make a good decision? Yes, he does. Goes forward. Lovely back heel. For me, guys, I think this would be an exceptional buy for Newcastle United, especially in the number 6 role that we really, really need. So let me see what you guys are saying. Andrew says, I don't think it will come to us. Tough competition. For sure. James says, if I wanted the Liverpool player, I would be getting Kwanzaa. I really liked him when he played against Brian Leverkusen. Yeah, he's a decent player. Andrew says, I'd rather sign Gakpo. Adrian says, quite like him as a player, but the whole thing gives me Ramsey vibes. Interesting. Big up Richie, God bless you. Says Richie, says even an all Everton fan, God bless you. Always a privilege to have rival fans on the show. You must be thinking, is this a Newcastle channel or a Liverpool channel? You're watching Liverpool players. Andrew just thinks, I just don't think Curtis Jones would want to come to Newcastle. Fair. There's a lot going for Inter Milan, right? Can't see him joining his pal in Germany. Can see him join his pal in Germany. Adrian says, and James says, I think we can find the same player for a cheaper price if we take a data and look around, and that's what Stud is meant to be doing. Oh yeah, that's true. He is doing that, but I think you're also looking at the opportunity. You've got a player who's on the final year of his contract. He's more than Premier League proven. He's European proven, Champions League proven. Um, he has all the qualities that you already want. He has, he's got the physicality. You know that what you can do. Yes, you can find someone that's picking up certain similar data, but probably in a weaker league. There'll always be a question around that player. Like you're not, can you find a player with that level of experience um, and with those attributes available for possible price between 30 and 40 million like that? I think you got to go for it. And there's no reason why we just don't replace like for like in terms of price and wages. If Tonali goes, we still make a profit in terms of what we get him for. Because whatever Tonali goes for is going to be more than what we're bringing Jones in for. I don't see an issue with matching the wages or getting close to it. And it's way more than what Jones is on now. Um, and it just makes sense for us, honestly, in my opinion. Richie says, hi, James. Hi, James. Love listening to other fans. Yeah, big up to you, Richie. Good to have you on. All right. So for me, Mr. Curtis Jones, I'll be watching this space. He's definitely a go, but I can see a lot of, well, I don't know a lot, but a few of the guys are certainly reluctant about him. All right, so Andrew says transfer fee has to be 35 to 40 million if it's well worth it, but I think you'll need a lot of convincing to come. Okay, so I'm gonna start off with we did a left winger last week. I want to do another left winger because I've only found out about him today, and I wondered if you guys knew him because if we're talking about cheap buys across Europe, well, I don't know if it's going to be cheap because a lot of teams now know about him, uh, but he is very, very interesting. And he could be, I almost hesitate to say a diamond in the rough because, like I said, teams know him. But let's see. Let's see what. I'll be interested to know if you guys know of him. And this is, oh gosh, let me take this off. Here we go. And it's this gentleman, Mr. Fernandez Pardo, or Matias Fernandez Pardo. And this is a report from Big Up Mr. Ollie Hawkins from the new NUFC blog. Great, great, great guy. He says exclusive Newcastle Eye Fernandez Pardo, Antonio Nuso, who we've talked about on the show. And I know there's a lot of fans for Antonio Nuso in the show, including me. And Toure, that's Buzima Toure, another player I need to scout and talk about at some point, as Gordon heads for the exit door. So what it tells, actually, it's even said it in the report, these three guys are on the shortlist, and what it tells you about the shortlist is it's got a lot of young European players. And kind of going back to and talking a little bit about Curtis Jones, I don't think, not everybody's going to be a cheap European player or South American player, whatever they come from. I don't mind us. I think we can still have enough left for a proven Premier League player. I think most of the positions players that we're going to bring in are going to be cheap European players, or from South America or from wherever. But I think we can afford to have one, maybe two Premier League players, especially in key positions like the goalkeeper position, if we can, with Trafford, the midfield position, if we can, with a Jones type of signing, or a forward position, as the striker position. We're not looking for one there, like a Dilat, for instance. And then the rest, sprinkled across, can be young players across who have potential as well. So that was my initial thought. But we're looking at Mr. Fernandez Pardo. Now, I literally did my research on him today. So I'm very new to him. But he's another little player that we've looked at before. Lots and lots of promise for him. So he's known as Matias Fernandez Pardo. He's 21 years old. He turns 22 next year, February. His place of birth is Belgium. He's got a citizenship both in Spain and with Belgium as well. He represents the Spain under 21 team. So um, if you're able to do that, you probably got some qualities around you, especially on the ball. Main position left winger. He's tall as well, by the way. He's height 6'2", big. Again, that's like a physicality wise, that's definitely an Eddie Howe type of player. Other positions can also play right wing and centre forward. I want to keep that in mind because he is a kind of a central type of player. A little bit of background on his playing position, a playing career. From 2014 to 2020, he's been playing for Lille, their youth academy, before going to KAA Ghent into their academy from 2020 to 2022, where he would have been like, I can't remember how old he'd have been. Like, my maths is bad. But from KAA Ghent, he went to Ghent 2 to play in their senior and reserves before returning back to the first team of Lille. So he's been loaned out quite a bit of times. He's been primarily utilised as a high volume left winger who cuts inside on his right foot. Again, inverted wingers is exactly what Eddie Howe loves, and physical profile allow him to lead the line as a centre forwards or function as a vertical threat on the right flank. So lots of versatility around him. Very, very, very kind of interesting profile. Very Eddie Howe-like profile. Injuries in his short senior career, 23 to 20, from 23 to 24 season, 25, 26 season. Not too many games, in my opinion. A lot of it, I call it like, what do you call it? Growing pains. So he's missed a couple, he's had a knock, missed a couple games for playing for Ghent, but nothing major. Even hamstring injury wasn't too serious. But he did have an ankle ligament tear in 24-25 season where he had to miss 10 games. From the 4th of January to the 18th of February, so 46 days out. That's been his only major injury. After that, injury to the ankle, but he's out for a game, and then he was ill, where he's out for 3 games. So, yeah, for me, still pretty good record. There's no kind of, it doesn't look like that there is what do you call it, related injuries or consistent injuries over the same area. So he's looking pretty good. Now, his career so far, it's this season that he's actually really, really broke onto the scene. He earned his hours playing for KA Ghent. His minutes he's going to be playing for the Ghent reserves and senior team. But it's in this season that he's really broken into the Lille first team. And across all competitions, he's played nearly 3,000 minutes, getting 14 GA, so 8 goals and 6 assists. Nearly all those GA came from playing in the League R. He only got 1 assist in the Europa League itself, where he's played 634 minutes. So he's got now also European pedigree as well, which is important for him. But a lot of minutes in he's played a lot of minutes for Lille, as well as getting a lot of GA as well. James says we were talking about him and Mango, definitely interesting player. Excuse me, player choice, please. Right wing, interesting player choice, please. Right wing and left wing. Oh, plays right wing and left wing. Yeah, he does. Andrew says he gives the ball away too much for me. I think his dribble success rate is less than 50%. Yeah, we'll look that up actually. I think there was similar comments in his scouting profile. We'll see it. We'll read it. James says Pardo would likely replace Anthony Gordon, but at least we actually get a player that can play both sides. Well, if you remember, Anthony Gordon came in as a right winger for us, who could play on the left. It just turned out to be he was exceptional on the left and didn't want to move back. There's nothing to say that Mr. Pardo won't go through the same thing, but we'll see. So you can see, as you guys mentioned, his heat map, he is a left winger by heart. And you can see also really keeping the width, but also you can see him in the heating areas into the penalty box there, where you can imagine shots and goals, assists, cutbacks are happening for him as well. So he's Mr. Left winger. And you can see the heat spots on the corner flags there as well. So it kind of indicates to me that he takes set pieces for Lille, which again is an indicator of his technical quality, which is good to see. Wages and contract. Now, this shouldn't be an issue for us. He is on 28,000 euros. So that's what that works out about what, 22K? And his contract runs out in 2029. There's a lot of time and a lot of space uh, for Lille to have a good bargaining position on him. And I'm sure they'll be trying to drum up interest for him as well. I think the risk for a lot of clubs would be that this is his first breakout year. What would he be like in the second year? But the problem is if he does, if he continues to prove in the second year, by then he'll be worth like, 60, 70 million. So can you get him now for 40, maybe 50 million? That will be the question. But his wages are certainly doable and something that Newcastle can definitely be looking at as well. So let's get into it. Let's do his scouting profile. Now, I think I got one scouting profile I managed to get for him, or was it two? No, I got one. Did I get one or two? I think I got one scouting profile for him, and that came from the scouting app, which they did in September 2025. So this was how many months ago now? What are we on? We're in May now. So roughly 8, 9 months ago. So he would have been 20, 21 years old then. So this is what they said about him. Um, the rise of Lille's frustrating enigma. So early analysis focused on Fernandez Pardo's return to Lille after his stint at Ghent. And we talked about that earlier. He is identified as a dynamic and technically sound forward, capable of playing across the entire front line, so he's versatile. His physical profile, characterized by a strong frame and powerful stride, marks him as a vertical threat, so kind of running balls over the top. I just lost my line. Where's my line? Vertical threat. At this stage, scouts highlight his tactical maturity and versatility, noting his ability to drift wide or link play as a lone striker. Which is good to see for us. He's framed as a long-term investment for Lille, possessing a competitive edge and a clean first touch that sets him apart from other prospects. So maybe that's where you get that Spanish feel about him. So the decisive breakout, and that's obviously come up in the season coming up. So, I did get I got more than one scouting report. Apologies, guys. So phase two. So the breakout season. This is by Between the Lines by Anthony Scouts from November 2025. So this is 2 months later. So by late 2025, the narrative shifts from prospect to a decisive figure. So this will provide a statistical deep dive. So here, placing him in the absolute top bracket of European wingers. So in 2 months, it's changed a lot of people's minds. For touches and carries into the penalty area, his creativity becomes his hallmark, ranking him in the 98th percentile for passes into the penalty area and 92nd percentile for key passes. So he's very creative and very decisive. He is described as a half-space creator who can dissect low blocks through artful footwork and elusive dribbling. So he's a creative ball carrier. This phase also marks his international transition as the Brussels-born talent switched his FIFA allegiance to Spain. So that's when he became a Spanish under 21s in February 2025. So all of this is pretty recent for him, actually. That's interesting. Thanks, Ches. God bless you. Thank you for that. As always, Philip, we appreciate all the work you put into your research. Great work as always, just listening in the background and while working. You keep working. I hope you enjoy it. Big up to you as well. Big up to you as you're working. So, so that's the second phase. So within a 2 month period, he's established himself or establishing himself pretty well. Then we get into the third phase, and this is by the Get French Football News (GFFN). This is again in December 2025, so a month later. The analysis is that as the leading figure in a post Jonathan David Lille attack, Fernandez Pardo is labeled as a frustrating enigma. Interesting. While his potential is spectacular, highlighted by Champions League start against Atletico Madrid, his decision making in the final third remains a work in progress, which is interesting. We just read all the high stats earlier, yet it appears to be an issue in terms of high stats around what he does in the penalty box and his key passes. But they're saying he's still frustrating with the ball. What do they say? So despite an ankle ligament injury in early 2026, he finished the season strongly with a 70 million euro asking price. Jeez Louise. So 70 million. So that's about 60 million price, 60 million pounds, guys. Let me know if he's worth it. Let me know if he's worth it. I'm not quite sure. I haven't seen him play. Set by President Olivier Latang. So he's ambitious, that president. He is viewed as a world-class talent whose physical and technical floor is elite, but whose consistency is the final hurdle to becoming a household name. So the idea is, can you get him before he hits that consistency? Because once he hits that consistency, that 70 million euros could turn into 80, 90, 100 million. Oh, did you say, could I check his injury record? Yeah, I did. I'll go back to it quickly. I did it earlier, Andrew. But he's not too bad. He's got a couple knocks. His main injury was an ankle ligament tear in 24-25 season. Otherwise, pretty clean. Yeah, I think you're thinking of a different player. Right, so 70 million, I think, is still a high asking price for a guy in his first breakout season. But it could be a sign of the times. So, key scouting attributes. He's got an elite penalty area presence, ranks amongst Europe's highest attacking penalty area touches and progressive carries into the box. Vertical power combines an upright scanning posture with an electric, elusive, and dribbling style in 1v1 situations. We're going to look at the highlights in a moment, but I've seen them before. It's very powerful in terms of like how he rides challenges. Creative versatility is exceptional at manipulating the ball in tight zones, making him equally effective as a winger or as a second striker. We could do with that, especially now we're playing 4-4-2 a lot more. Tactical awareness, high level adaptability, knows when to hug the touchline to stretch play, and when to drop into half spaces to aid build up. That's good. That's good. So pros and cons is a statistical. So pros is a statistical outlier. Is in the elite percentile for expected assists and progressive passes, which is really, really good. Physical stature is strong, 6'2". Ambidexterity, no clear angle bias, comfortable on either flank. There's a lot to like about him. Ball manipulation, clean first touch, and artful footwork. Weaknesses, decision making can be overambitious. I don't mind that, to be honest. Consistency, end product that will come with more time. Injury resilience, recent ankle issues require careful management. 24-25 seasons when he had it, I think he's been fine. Aerial impact, despite height, not a primary aerial threat. I'm not overly worried about that. So, final verdict: Matias Fernandez Pardo is a high upside tactical weapon who blends the size of a modern striker with the guile of a creative winger. It sounds like Anthony Gordon and Harvey Barnes. While his enigma status stems from a gap between his spectacular technical flair and clinical consistency, his statistical dominance His statistical dominance in creative metrics suggests he is on the verge of elite status. At 70 million euros, he is no longer a secret but a cornerstone of Lille's future. Interesting. So before we get into the metrics or his metrics and everything else, let me know what you guys think. The scouting reports, especially in that period of last year in particular, are very, very good. And he seems to have carried on his form into this year. I'm still a bit nervy. Not nervy, that's not the right word. But I'm still a bit like 70 million euros. Are you sure? Where is it? Where is it? Where are you? He gives the weight. I've read that. Andrew says his defensive work needs to improve too. He's very raw. Maybe Eddie could work his magic on him. I think so. He can. James says I'm willing to spend around 65 million because he'll be a major replacement for Anthony Gordon. You're willing? Have you seen him play, James? You're willing to pay 65 million for him? That's interesting. Fair play. Yeah, he was born in Brussels. Yeah. Cheers says, oh yeah, I read that. Sorry, I read those. Might not be what I was thinking of. Definitely. Okay, yeah. So let's get into it. Sorry, got to just take this off 1 minute. Okay, so did I get the chance? I didn't get the chance to show Lil's metrics. I'm trying to remember now. Did I include Lil's metrics in this? That's so annoying. I think I did. Yeah, I did. Okay, cool. Brilliant. So I'm okay. I thought I forgot. So we'll look at his metrics quickly, but we have to keep in mind that he operates in Lille. So how does he operate and what do these stats mean? But so far in this season, he has got 79, he's in the 76th percentile for progressive carries, 83 percentile for non-penalty goals, which is really good. And those are his main key areas. But he's pretty average in dribbles completed, so 56th percentile. He's in the 52 percentile for non-penalty goals expected and unexpected assists. Assists in the 27.9 percentile as well. Key passes, 32 percentile. He's got very low on the crosses as well. But I think that's something to do with how he plays for Lille. So keep this in mind. We are going to go back to it. So Lille, this is Lille's metrics. It's in the context of Lille. So, sorry guys, Lille are a structured possession team. They're controlled in their attacking system and balanced defensively. So the opposite of Newcastle at the moment. Matias' profile: he's an elite ball carrier, vertical attacker, and strong box threat, and a half space creator. So Matias is a transition style attacker producing inside a controlled system. So it's a transition style attacker in a controlled system. So if you were to play for Newcastle, right? This is Newcastle's metrics, right? We know who we are: physical, pressing. We've let ourselves down with our possession and our goals and our defending this season, but we can be better than that. But why he fits? He's a ball carrying threat. His transition explosive his transitional explosiveness, his penalty area entrances, and his half space attacking. So he fits our transition type play and the type of team that we are. So he would fit right in without much issues. But the chaos, but there is a risk for that, which is there might be too much chaos. we're already like transitioning a lot. Inconsistent and final, and he's also inconsistent in his final action. So if he's misplacing passes, making the wrong decisions, not defending, that could be an issue. That would add to the issues that we already have in terms of getting caught in transitions. So there are tweaks that Newcastle would have to make to support someone like him. So in the midfield, for instance, add a controller. We just talked about Curtis Jones. This is where Curtis Jones is so important. Someone who can control tempo, circulation, and stability, but also who you partner him up with up front. Who do you partner up with, Mr. Pardo? Who's the ideal type of striker? We talked about Romolo before from RB Leipzig. And why is that? Because his intelligent movement, high box presence, and combines in transition. Someone that could partner up very, very well with Mr. Pardo. So the main takeaway is that Matias' ceiling depends on adding more structure around his explosiveness. So you need a midfielder behind him who can control and dictate play, and you need a striker in front of him who's good at connecting the play, but is also himself a box presence who can get onto the end of his cutbacks, his crosses and everything else like that. So let me know what you guys are saying. I'm going to show his highlights in a moment. I want to know from you guys: is he worth the 70 million euros? Should Newcastle just give the 60 million pounds and just say, "Here, Lil, give us, give us the player, give us Mr. Matias"? Would you guys take him? Brilliant. He's on Brazil Scout. For me, for players in Brazil Scout, he's going to go far. So let me know. Let me set this up and then I'll see what you guys are saying. Big up to you, Andrew. Sorry, Philip. I've got to go to bed. I'll watch the rest of the show tomorrow. Good night. God bless you, Andrew. You've been phenomenal today. Always on form. Always on form. All right. So what you guys saying? Make sure I'll set this up first. Excuse me. Here we go. Went too far back there. Yeah, you've seen videos on him. So James says, what is interesting to see is looking at the last match, the playing Himala striker. Say that again. What is interesting to see, looking at the last match, the playing Himala. Is Leo's last match on YouTube? Let me know if he is. If it is, and he's playing on it, send me the link, please. I'd love to watch it. Please do send me the link. All right, so let's have a look at Mr. Pardo. Is he worth the 60 million? I love what the stats are saying about him. What I love even more, though, is to make him work, we need to improve on the rest of our structure. And, sorry, here we go. So they've likened him to Joaquin Correa, Said El Mala, who've been linked to previously, and Ivan Perisic. Interesting. All right, let's get into it. Playing for Lille. They've also got that, I forgot his name, Haroldson as well, who I like. Oh, that's him centrally bursting in on the front. Lovely finish. 6'2", in behind at that. Yeah, there's a lot of quality there. That was a quality finish. Massive. What a goal. Goodness gracious. And he loves to drive in and take up those central positions there. Again, on the right foot. He is big as well. Very upright in terms of how he plays as well. Can go out wide, uses pace, very, very strong. Look at him using his pace. Riding out the challenge. He's strong as well. Look up, look up, look up. Lovely pass. Good play from him there. Oh, got a bit of trickery. I feel like Dennis Wise now, but this is why I want to see a full game of him because there's some really exciting stuff about him. He can go left or right, can't he? Oh, lovely finish there. Have I seen him on the right hand side just yet? But he's left footed, right footed, strong, powerful, can go central, can go out on the flanks, can beat a man for pace, can use his dribbling skills. Seems to have a cool, calm finish about him as well. You see that layoff there? You can see this is why you need a striker who can make the ball stick. Really good pace as well. Lovely cutback. Brilliant cutback. Was that him? Yeah, that was a brilliant cutback. Again, running in behind. He got superb pace. He would be fantastic at St. James's Park. Closing down his man. Yeah. A bit of Eddie Howe magic and structure in and around him. Number six can control the play. A striker who can make the ball stick, combined with him, will be very, very good. Lovely cutback as well. Yeah, doing his defensive duties there as well. Not too bad. Out on the right, this time with his right foot. Lovely cross. Not too bad. This time on the left, using his left foot. Yeah, he is. He's ambidextrous. This time with his right foot. Lovely chip pass. Is exciting. He is an exciting talent. I want to see a full game of him though, man. So if you guys, if you got any links to any full link games, little games, do let me know. I am very keen to see. James has mainly played as a striker for his team. I can see why. Adrian says, "Yep, sign him up." So you were paying 60 million, yeah? Boy, I think we've got a winner. I think he's brilliant. I think he's brilliant. Um, we're gonna have to keep track of him. I need to see a full game. I need to see a full game. I need to see a full game because I'm excited and I don't want to get too excited, but I need to see a full game. Um, I've got one more player, but I'm going to reserve him for Tuesday now because he's a defender. Uh, that was interesting. He's a good player. That was a good player to end it on as well. James says I'm winning too because he's got such he's got talent for the young age, and he'll be a building block out of the big group. I think so. I agree. I agree, and he'll be on the same side as Hall, and you know, yeah, I think he's very very promising. Okay, well, that was a good player to end things on. We did our match preview. We broke down Nottingham Forest, who, unfortunately for them, were knocked out of the Europa semi-final today. How are they going to respond come Sunday when Newcastle come to town? This is the first game that they've lost in 10. This is the first game we've won in a long time against Brighton. But I think a high pressing, intense style, man for man, if we go for them, I think we can beat them. I went for a 3-0 prediction with Mr. Osula, Willock, and Wissa for goal scorers as well. And I think most of the score predictions on the show tonight were very positive as well. Then we did a scouting report on Mr. Curtis Jones, who was a bit more controversial compared to Mr. Pardo. Some people were on him, some thought it was good, some people didn't think it was good or isn't worth the money. I personally think is a big opportunity here to get a proven Premier League, Champions League player for anywhere between 30 to 40 million. And who's on 60k, less than 50, 60k a week, and we've got an opportunity to get him. And he provides everything that we're looking for. If you want to unlock the likes of Pardo and your kind of, uh, uh, add structure to the team has very limited structure at the moment for Newcastle, control the tempo, control the game, possession. I think Curtis Jones, if not just Curtis Jones, at least someone of his profile. But I think Curtis Jones, because of experience, I think we have to go for him. I think we have to go for him. But speaking of Mr. Pardo, he was the left winger that we also spoke about. Looks super, super exciting. He's in his breakout season, 14 GA already. Pace, power, ambidextrous, left flank, right flank, through the center. Big, 6'2". You can tell that the ceiling is very, 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 very high for him. And if Newcastle went in with about 50, 60 million pound offer for him, you can tell they'll be really putting the cat amongst the pigeons in that situation. But you can tell that Newcastle are looking for the right profile of players, in my opinion, and putting it together. And we talked about it, discussed it. I think we're all pretty much excited about him. So yeah, man, I thought that was phenomenal. But as always, guys, you have been phenomenal. I'm looking forward to that Forest game. Hopefully, we get something over the top. Hopefully, we hear more about Mr. Matias as well. I'll be keeping a track of him and trying to get a full game or a full couple of games with him to see how he does. But you guys have been amazing. Andrew, Ches, Adrian, James, and so many. We had rival fans coming on as well. Richie, big up to yourselves. You've been absolutely phenomenal. But as always, folks, make sure that you look after each other. And God bless you all.